Hey guys, Magnus here, and apologies that this video is a little bit late. I am behind schedule. I had a lot of uni work and actual work, so I had to kind of hold off on the channel for a week, so I do apologise about that. It might happen within the upcoming summer just because I'm in my final university year, so I've got my dissertation to do and my final project, so a lot of work. But I will try and make room and time for this channel when I can. Today we're going to be ranking the updates from worst to best. I do this every year, so this is for the 2019 updates that we got in the Simpsons Tapped Out. So this, of course, the updates that will be in this video are Love Springfieldian Style, of course, was the very first one we got. Then we got, I think it was Game of Games, and then Simpsons Babies. Was it that order? I don't even remember. And then we also got Treehouse of Horror, and of course Abe's in Toyland. Yeah, we only got 5 major events this year. The only events I'm looking at are the major events. How I kind of separate the events is, a major event is an event that has a 3 or 4 act structure. A mini event and lasts normally like 4 weeks or 5 weeks. Mini event is one that lasts about 2 weeks, which only has essentially one act. And minor event would be something that doesn't actually have a prize track. It's a prize track. It's an event without a prize track. So this would be stuff like the Marge of the Bat update that we got this year. So I'm only focusing on the major updates this year because I think it's unfair to lump it in with the mini events. It just doesn't seem like a fair competition otherwise. Yeah. So there's no point. There's no honourable mentions in this one because I'm not doing a top 10. I'm just going to rank all of them. So, getting into number 5, or the worst event of the year, is Game of Games. So yeah, Game of Games. Now I do want to say I completely disagree with the results of the Tapped Out Awards. Of course we do this every year, and sometimes I disagree with some of the results. This one I strongly disagree. So you guys voted and of course you're entitled to your own opinion, but this is just my opinion. But you guys voted for the Treehouse of Horror. 30 is the best event, and in the second place, Game of Games was the second best event, in a tie with a Springfield Christmas special, which of course was last year, so I won't be talking about it here. And I just really disagree because I think Game of Games was awful. It was terrible when you really think about it. Now, the reason why I have, and I will explain it in later, why Simpsons Babies is above this, because I do understand that some people think that Simpsons Babies is the worst event, and I think that's I think it's fair if you think the Simpsons Babies is, but let me explain why I think the Simpsons Babies is at least a little bit better than Game of Games. Now, Game of Games gave us very mediocre characters for the most part. I would say there's probably about 3 good characters in the event. That being, let me try and find Game of Games on my list. That being Dash Dingo, I think is a good character, although we got nominated for worst character. That wasn't me, by the way, who did that. That was one of the other judges. But I quite like Dash Dingo, so I would consider him a good character. He's got some cool animations. Report Card, I would say, is just about good character, and Stick 'em Up Walrus, just for his look alone, is a good character. The rest, I would say, were meh or bad, and honestly, I didn't like them. And when it comes to the buildings are atrocious. We got some awful buildings. We got the Happy Little Elves farm, which is awful. The COE Champion Arena is just so ugly and it's impossible to place. Blockerland, I don't think is particularly amazing. It's okay. It's an alright building, and I know that was voted as the best building, but I just think it's alright. It's nothing amazing. Maple HQ is okay. I quite like that one, to be fair. And then the E4 Convention Center is not terrible. It's just impossible to place in the town. It really is. So yeah, I just think the buildings are a massive reason why this event kind of let down as well. Plus, decorations in this event are pretty crap too. There isn't anything very memorable about them either. Some of them are very hard to place, like the Time Snowboarder display. And there is Stormy Island, which was okay. I quite like that one. And the Crowd of Gamers was okay as well. But then there was just a load of decorations that were just really forgettable and kind of crappy. So yeah, I honestly thought this event had a lot of potential. Doing a kind of video game themed event in a video game is so meta, and the questline's not terrible. I do like some of the questline in this event. I do think Simpsons Babies, however, has a little bit better of one, just because I feel it doesn't feel like a bunch of shit kind of with a very loose theme thrown together, which is what this event felt like. While Simpsons Babies feels a lot more cohesive. They obviously have the whole, the babies and stuff, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah, I just think overall this event is the worst that we've gone this year. There is definitely good aspects to it, of course, but I just think after comparing it with Simpsons Babies, I had to conclude that Game of Games is the worst, just because Simpsons Babies gave us way more good stuff. And that brings us in to the fourth best, or second worst, if you will. The second one on our list, anyway, is Simpsons Babies. So yeah, Simpsons Babies was pretty bad in its own right as well, but the one thing I think Simpsons Babies is a massive standout for is buildings. Good ass buildings. All of the buildings, and I'll say something very controversial, all of the buildings in this event are, at least, none of them are bad, right? They're all okay. I think there's maybe like one or two meh buildings, but the rest are really good. So just to list a few, the Colonel Burns Mansion's really cool. I like Kid Zone's Elite, that's pretty cool as well. Simpsons and Grandson bike customizing. The Lower East Side Homes is really cool. Le Petit Appetit is pretty nice as well. Simpsons Jiminy, the Doughy Dozen Bagels. The Captain Dodgems Bumper Cars is really cool too. Springfield Destruction Derby Ground, I even like that one, even though it has the Simpsons car in it. I still think it's okay. Springfield Community Theatre, although it does look a little bit like previous buildings we've got, I think it's okay. The only meh buildings I would say is maybe the Malibu Stacy Fan Club was a little meh, and the Frink's house is it's really weirdly scaled. Those are the only kind of meh buildings. But what this update kind of, I would say that Game of Games outweighs this update in terms of characters, because I think all the characters are bad, apart from maybe Llewellyn Sinclair. But even Llewellyn, I think, is a pretty meh character. I hate all the babies. I just think that all the young characters, I just don't like them. And they've got interesting aspects to them. Like, some of them have some interesting animations, but I really feel like these should have been costumes, and I still firmly believe that young versions or old versions of characters should be costumes. This all started with the sci-fi event. Can I add? Yeah, I think overall was a pretty kind of lackluster event in some regards, but I think the buildings definitely make up for it. Speaking again of the quest line and the structure, this update has a okay quest line, but the structure is really on point. They managed to kind of split up all the kind of characters. So you got Bart, you have obviously Bart, Lisa, Marge, and Homer. They're all split up into their baby versions, and I thought it was done very well. There was a few missed opportunities I felt. I think Clancy Bouvier was a very missed opportunity with this event. It would have made sense to get him. And of course, this update had Snowball 1, so that's an instant 8 points. No, I'm joking. But yeah, Snowball 1 was pretty cool, to be fair. It's nice to get her. And the Bleeding Gums Cloud was a nice decoration too. I wanted to see that as an animation for Bleeding Gums Murphy, so I'm glad that they added it in the game in some regard. So yeah, overall I think the Simpsons Babies has some bad aspects to it, but it definitely has some excellent aspects to it when it comes to the buildings. That's why I think it outweighs Game of Games, and I hope you agree with me, because I feel like a lot of people often think of characters and they judge an event based on characters, when buildings are important too, because without buildings you have no town. So yeah. The third best, or third worst, however you want to see it, is, of course, Treehouse of Horror XXX. So yeah, Treehouse of Horror XXX. Now, I don't dislike this update. I think it's an okay update. Now, I've had my relationships with the Treehouse of Horror updates. Honestly, I just find them very repetitive, and it's always got the same tone to it, and I don't know, sometimes I'm a little bit of a Halloween Scrooge. I think I'm a self-proclaimed Halloween Scrooge in some regards, but yeah, I think overall this event is pretty good. Now, in terms of characters, there are some characters, but then there's some really standout characters. Well, there's one standout character, of course, being God. So yeah, God is a really standout character for this update. And then there's some okay characters as well, like Dr. Griffin, the Invisible Man's pretty cool. The Monkey Paw Salesman I like quite a lot, actually. I like his design, and I quite liked his questline and animations as well. Lucy for Satan is okay. And maybe Malicious Crub, I would say probably Malicious Crub is a meh, as well as, I don't know, I quite like Kamala as well, I guess. But yeah, I probably would say Malicious Crub is a meh, and maybe Zia Simpson's a meh. I mean, just really isn't anything to Zia Simpson, to be honest. Like, she's okay, and she did feel a bit out of place in this event. I know they tried to justify it, but it still feels really out of place. And then we got some bad characters. I think Gelatinous Homer, although he looks cool, is bad in the regard that it definitely should have been a costume. This is like, you can't even give the excuse that this is a young version, so it's technically a different version of Homer. This is like costumes 101. When you have a character who portrays or turns into something, like with Devil Flanders, that's a costume. Like, that's not a another character. That should be a costume, and so should Gelatinous Homer. So I really think that it's bad in the regard that it should be a costume. Martin of the Opera is the same thing, but I think it is an older version of Martin, so I'm a little lenient, because I would rather be consistent than I just want them to be consistent with these kind of future and young characters, although I disagree with it. British Troll Mo is just a bad character, though. So yeah, I mean, it's got a bad character. In terms of buildings, it's not too bad. It's got some, but it is a bit lacking. We have Hagen Death, which is in Dracula's Castle, the Seven Sisters, Free Bear's House, Rigel 7 I quite like too, and the Invisible House. They're all okay buildings. It's just lacking in buildings is the biggest thing. And then decorations, a lot of them are quite crummy in my opinion. Some of the decorations are pretty bad. So yeah, I think overall it's not a terrible update. It's just lacking in some regards, and yeah, I don't know. I think the story was a big thing for me. I know that people tried to say that they justify it in the questline. Yeah, but overall it just felt like it was really forced, some of it. Especially like Zia Simpson. I really liked the last act though of this event. It was really stand out. Possibly one of the best acts I've seen in all these major events was the final one of this one. So I'll give it that. Yeah, and overall I just think the update has some great things in it. I just think a lot of the bad stuff outweighs the good stuff, so it just about falls short for me. But it's still a good update overall. I still give it a thumbs up. But anyway, let's go to the number 2. So the number 2 spot goes to Abe's in Toyland. Okay, I have a soft spot for this update, really do. Now, I understand why people don't like it. A lot of people disagree it's a Christmas event, and I get that. I understand why you think that, but I don't know. Part of me thinks, when I try to think of Christmas events in the past when I made them, I always thought, like, what is the key components of Christmas? And of course, family sticks out as a key thing of Christmas. And I've tried to base it off family in the past, but I've never been able to do it. I don't think I ever thought about doing it like this, because this essentially is a flashback event. Is a flashback event I proposed a while ago. A lot of the elements from it are in this update. And yeah, it's kind of, it makes sense. It works in my opinion. And I know that the actual Christmassy feel of the event isn't all there, but you have to understand that it's going to be really hard to make a solid, structurally sound event if you're just basing it off Christmas buildings and Christmas sort of themed characters. It's not going to work as a really solid event. And they could do that, and I'd be fine with it, and I'd praise that it's very Christmassy. But I think with this update, although yes, it doesn't have that kind of Christmas spirit that a lot of the others do, I think it does on a deeper level. It's not on the surface, but it is on a deeper level, because Christmas is a very sort of family-ish time, and yeah, I thought this event was kind of sad in a lot of ways. I mean, it's Grandpa waiting for death, and like kind of almost rekindling his memories. It's a really deep event if you think about it, and I love it. And I think Orville Simpson, Edwina, Philip Heflin, Rita LaFour, Old Tut, Abby, even Aaron Burr to a regard, but I will talk about Aaron Burr in a sec. But I think all of like the kind of family members and spouses and friends of Abe were really well done, and they fit in this update, and I like all of them. I think the only ones I would be a bit iffy on are Philip Heflin and Rita LaFour maybe, are a little but yeah, Old Tut, Abby, especially Abby. I think Abby is the standout character in this update personally, but Orville's pretty cool too, and so is Old Tut, and the buildings in this update are okay too. There's some really nice ones. Carnaby Street is really cool. Whizbang Toy Company, I like a lot. Vandersmith and Whiffy is great. Fallen Diva Apartments is okay too. Universal Panakia is okay. The Old Theatre District. The Hall of Vice President's a bit but it's an alright building. It's not bad. Yeah, so there's a lot of good buildings in this. I would say that it's lacking in buildings. I think the biggest reason why this event is is not as good in some regards and for characters is there isn't as much because they sacrificed a lot of content just to throw those mystery boxes in. And this is why this update hasn't taken the #1 spot. If they didn't do that mystery box stuff, I would have made this #1 for sure, because I love the story and the quest line of this event. I think it's excellent, and it's really well executed. And hell, I love the characters and the buildings in this event too. But I think will say that the characters and buildings and decorations are lacking. And this is a massive issue because of the mystery box token thing. And I hope to God they don't continue doing this in the upcoming year. I hope that this has just been a one-time thing, but I really feel like it's not, and they are going to continue with it. Yeah, like I said, I think this update has a lot of strong themes to it, but that mystery box thing really just pulls it down for me. So, anyway, let's have the drum roll for the #1 spot. Can we have that drum roll? So, of course, it goes to Love Springfieldian Style. So yeah, Love Springfieldian Style. Brilliant update. There's nothing more to say really. That's it. That's the video. Goodbye. No. Yeah. Overall, this update is really good. I think where the only thing I would say is kind of a bit bad is maybe the decorations and possibly the story is very simple. It's not very kind of deep and sad as Abe's in Toyland. But this update has great characters, great buildings, and okay decorations. Yeah, so let's talk about the characters for a start. So of course we have really standout ones like Mr. Bergstrom. I think Groundskeeper Wilma's pretty good too. Principal Dogerlinger is okay. Genders are pretty cool too to get. Samantha Stanky, Capri and Nedward Senior Flanders, love them. Vicky Valentine's okay. Charles Busby's pretty cool. I probably would say the only meh is maybe Gloria. I would, and maybe Nikki McKenna is a bit meh as well. She is like a very generic Bart's girlfriend character. In my opinion, she feels like a rip-off of Jessica Lovejoy. And in terms of buildings, we got tons of buildings, as many as we got in Simpsons Babies. Well, I'm not sure the exact amount, but same sort of, it feels like on the same level. So the Childarium, the Miss Tillingham School, Springfield Planetarium, the Union Station, Speedy Mart, Joe's Taverns, Shelbyville Elementary, the Future Plastic Surgery Centre, Old Springfield Townie, Shady and the Vamp, Springfield Dog Pound, St. Sebastian School for Wicked Girls, Golf and Divers Retirement Village, Chaz Busby's Ballet Academy, CBGB, and Little Vicky's School of Dance. There is some meh buildings in there, but I think overall the buildings are pretty solid in this event as well. We've got the Valentine's Cooling Towers. Oh no, that was returning. What am I doing about? Decorations anyway. We got the Welcome to Springfield Arch, which is nice to have something like that finally in the game. Shelbyville Blues is okay too. The Contraception Overlook is okay too. The Quantum Tunnel I really like, and the Future Limo pretty cool too. The only kind of, and the skate park's okay. The only kind of meh decorations was the bar dogs and the dining animals. They were a bit weird and really hard to place. But yeah, overall this update has got a great theme to it, and I'm glad that they actually finally did something really interesting with the Valentine's Day update. And this made me like and want another Valentine's Day update, which I think is a really good positive thing. Reason why I like Destination Springfield so much is they set up so much potential to do another kind of similar themed update, which they sort of did with Springfield Jobs. A lot of the Springfield Jobs content is like around the world content in a way, so they kind of executed that with Springfield Jobs. But I still think they could do another around the world update themed event. Especially with, like, I think Israel and Australia would be two good places to do. And Valentine's Day is also a really easy thing to do, because all you need to do is just add kind of love interests for characters. The one thing I will say, another thing I will say, sorry, that is a little iffy in this update is some of the characters are a bit like, why did you add them? For example, like Mr. Bergstrom, although I love Mr. Bergstrom, he doesn't entirely fit in this event in the fact that he's no one's love interest apart from maybe Edna Krabappel. But they kind of played it off quite nice, because I don't know, I like the idea that Lisa loves him as a kind of mentor, not as a like anything weird. But I don't know, that kind of fits into Valentine's Day, I guess. Obviously Gender and Gloria, Samantha Stanky, Nikki McKenna, even Ned's parents to a degree, they all make sense. I think Vicky Valentine and Chaz Busby are the only like, why are they there as well? Along with Mr. Bergstrom, and then Groundskeeper Wilma, I feel like they made it work. So yeah, overall, I just really enjoyed this update. It was a great start to the year after the Not Yet Spring Cleaning update and this. I liked it. I really think it was a solid part of the year, and I don't think anything else in the year came close to, well, the only thing I think came close is Apes in Toyland, but in terms of content and the mystery box tokens, like, I can't give Apes in Toyland the win. It's just lacking a lot. But yeah, this update takes the win. So anyway, guys, that's it for the video. Yeah, the video. So yeah, if your opinions differ, please do tell me. Tell me what you would do differently and where you would place the updates differently. Please do actually give me your 5 ranked if you can. It's only 5, shouldn't be too difficult. Yeah, or at least give me your favourite one anyway. And yeah, I shall see you next video. Tell me your thoughts on my opinions. Of course, they are just my opinions. If you disagree, that is completely fine. Your list could be the complete reverse. I wouldn't mind. But yeah. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next video. Goodbye.